Hey everyone, welcome to Upfront in the Prophetic. We're so blessed that you are here with us today. I am so excited to have with me Dr. Ben Bowers. Oh my gosh, he's the founder of Hope Wellness. He's also a doctor of metabolic health. And oh my gosh, let me see here. It's just so much neuroscience, functional medicine. I mean, and that's just the short list right there.
Right.
But it is just so great having him today because we're going to talk about a little bit about the nervous system's health where it meets cellular intelligence.
Right.
And I'm so fired up about these two books that Dr. Ben has just published. This is phenomenal about Fix and Vericel. We're going to tap into this just a little bit, but I'm telling you what, you're going to want to get the books. I will have the QR code on the bottom. So all you have to do is just click on it and purchase these books. This is going to blow you away because we are in a time and a season like never before. Right,
Yes.
Dr. Ben?
Yes, ma'am, we are, Francine. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Amazing.
so I wanted to tap into, besides you having over 1,000 patients and knowing this whole functional, medicine,
Right.
it's just amazing because you've utilized these products and it's changed lives tremendously. So let's start with the Fix. Okay. You referred the vagus nerve to the master switch. Okay. So there's a lot of people listening right now and they're like, master switch. Okay. What are you talking about?
So since the vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10, which there's 12 of them from the brain to the body. But here's what's interesting about the vagus nerve. It is the master control center. Think about whatever you need to stay alive, and there has to be a communication between the brain and the body. And so what happens between the brain and the body is this highway. It's a 2-lane highway, if you will. It's more than that. There's 1,100 different systems that it touches. And the body is constantly giving a report back to the brain that says, here's what I'm dealing with. Here's what's happening. Hey, I got a problem over here. I got a problem there. And so when we look at what is called a vagal tone, that's the rate at which the speed of communication goes up and down the highway. So think of a major highway in a major city. And if there's a traffic jam, you're not getting very fast, very fast, right? Well, that's kind of what happens within the vagus nerve. So when the vagal tone gets reduced due to stress, sleep, diet, you just name it, the world, the G5, all the things that are going on, it reduces that vagal tone. And when the vagal tone gets reduced, the brain becomes unaware of what's happening inside the body, or has very limited knowledge of what's happening in the body. And so think about this body is massively sitting up 80 to 90% of the highway is coming up to the brain. So the brain says, okay, we got a problem here, we've got a problem here. When you look at what the vagus nerve does, and the reason I call it the master switch, is think about coming home to your house and all the power's off. Mm-hmm. Now, you can have a flashlight or a light on your phone, you can get around, but all of a sudden the master switch comes on and all the lights in the house come in. Now you can see everything that's going on in the house. And that's kind of what the master switch is. When you take this very unique product that God made, and I say it that way because this is nothing man-made, it's nothing synthetic. It's really extracted at a very special time in the mature hops. And there's about a 2-week window when the most amount of these bitter acids are there, and you pull that out. And what's unique about that is the bitter acids go into the mouth, hits the tongue, goes straight up to the brain, all right, hits that vagus nerve and says, turn the lights on. And now the brain becomes aware of what has not been happening or hasn't been getting messages up from the body. And it can now send out messages and get reports back. So when I say it's the master switch, it turns on everything has been demuted or reduced, or we call vagal tone reduction.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's very powerful.
And I know a lot of people now are trying to, because it's really a buzzword right now, the vagus nerve. And so it's just like, oh, you got to do the cold plunge. You got to do the, put the thing, hum or gargle or whatever. But that doesn't really work that long, does it?
No. It's interesting because about 30 years ago, when I wrote my first book on the vagus nerve and taught the doctors, hardly anybody knew about it. But we have been looking for over 40 years what would turn on the vagus nerve, because it's a very difficult thing to get into. It's inside the brain, comes all the way down, it goes to everything vital, all right? And there's no drug, there's nothing that can do that because it goes to 1,100 different places. You can't get one stimulus to it. So what we have found out and figured out through the research is if you go back several hundred years ago, before we had processed food, people, roamed the land, whatever, and they would pick up berries, whatever. Well, God put within the mouth this certain component that if anything is poisonous, it has a bitter taste. So we have these bitter receptors inside our mouth and our tongue. They also go down our pulmonary pathway. So if we inhale anything that's poisonous, the body's aware of that as well. But the unique component about that is that when we turn these on, you can actually trigger this for up to over 9 hours of stimulation, which means we shut off the sympathetic nervous side, which is a part of that vagus nerve, and we turn on the parasympathetic side. So now the body goes back into rest and repair. And here's a key that everybody needs to hear and understand. You can never heal when your body's in chaos. That's critical, right? You can actually do some cleanup, but you can never truly heal until you're in a calm state. So as long as we're in this sympathetic state where we're constantly doing things, constantly dealing with problems, right? We're stressed 24/7. People can't even sleep right because they're so stressed. When you're in that sympathetic dominance, you'll never heal. It just can't happen. So what this product allows the body to do is to go into this 2-lane highway where the sympathetic is running dominant constantly and say, hey, we're going to tone you down and we're going to bring back up parasympathetic. So now we can start understanding what's happening in the body and eventually turn that off so we can start healing and repairing. That's what's supposed to happen at night, and it's not happening to people.
Right.
So when you take this product and all of a sudden you can turn something on for up to 9 hours, and what you were referencing, you sing, you hum, you take a cold shower, you even go do a 4-mile run, you might get 20 minutes of upregulation of the parasympathetic, but at the same time, you have the sympathetic dominance still there. So all you're doing is balancing the flow, but then eventually the parasympathetic starts slowing down and you're back in the sympathetic. What we've done and all the thousands of people we've watched this product on, and we did our research, we found about 6 hours, 7 hours into it, that bell curve starts to go down. If you even took your second dose, then you got a higher jump up and people even calm faster. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to take one every 6 or 7 hours, although I personally take about 6 a day just to do that, right? Because in my story, I've had a lot of issues, but it's what works. And so when we look at that master switch and we get that to turn on, think about this way. You can have a candle, and a candle puts out just a little bit of light. You can get a stronger candle, and then you can get to a flashlight. And when we start talking about what's called the lumens, when all of a sudden you have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, a million lumens spreading out, now that vagus nerve can see so much further and go so far, so much deeper, that the body can start turning things back on. And what's unique about that, it wasn't even aware it wasn't seeing those things. And now when you hit that master switch and all this system, this God ordained, God created system comes back into play, now the body can make some pretty amazing assessments of what's happening and know where it has to go next.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, and there's a lot of products out there in the marketplace,
Right.
but there's nothing like this product out there.
Nothing like this has ever been found before. And we've been looking for 40 plus years. It's interesting because it was actually found back in 1953. The original research was published on that. And we have that research. We went back and looked at all that. And what was interesting about that is it just cost too much.
Right.
And it was too cost prohibitive to bring it out into the market, right? Now God finally allowed us to do that.
Yeah,
and we have it now.
Now you have over 1,000 patients. What are you seeing? And we're not making any claims here. It's just what happens when the body's able to assimilate. And
so the interesting thing is, the functional medicine doc and as an epigeneticist, what I did is said, okay, I know that you can't bring one product in and everybody's body's going to react the same. In fact, when we identify this 96 different groupings of bodies that we talk about, so generally you're going to hit one of the 3 major categories, right? And so when I started looking at this, I said, okay, I know this isn't what they think it is, meaning I saw when there was a drug company trying to get this approved for a drug. And so what they had to do, they had to go to 1 unit of measure and go down and see if it would do that. And they found that it did that. But when I looked at their research, I said, they left 200 things on the side as they were driving for that one thing. So as a functional medicine doc, and again, as an epigeneticist, I go, well, let me reverse engineer it. What happens if I say, well, if it did that, what else could it have done? So what we did is we came into our clinics with a bunch of doctors I had, and we said, let's look at what really is going to happen in real life.
Right.
Because drug is a controlled environment, right? If we bring it into the real life, into our patient base, what's really going to happen? So we identified 80-some different questions to go through and monitor all of our patients as we went through that. And here's what's interesting. After a year, we found over 77 different things that this product actually affected in all the different body types. So not everybody's going to get the same result, right? But what's interesting is what we have found over this year and a half now of watching all this is that the longer a person is on it, the more the body started recognizing the imbalance that was occurring and what was necessary to start bringing that back around so it could start repairing and regenerating, once again, in a God-given way. That's a key factor.
Yeah.
We're not trying to force the body. I tell patients
Sure.
all the time, if you force the body, you're forcing a resistance.
Mm-hmm.
If you identify the natural paths of the body and you work with the body doesn't feel like it's forced. Now it will do its God-given way and start coming back in. And we just kind of get cleaned up, get things cleaned out of the way and let God's creation do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's a new product in the house.
Yes.
Called Vericel.
Yes.
And this is a game changer, I believe.
It
and
is.
When you combine both the Fix and the Vericel together, to me, I just say bada bing, bada boom. I mean, it's phenomenal. So share just a little bit about the Vericel.
Well, this is a 40-year love history. In 1986, when I was doing research on the DNA and enzymatic activities of the DNA, I came across a company that was making a drug, and the name of that company is Carrington Labs. And they were working on a product that they eventually named Kerosene. And there's a lot of things that a lot of people that I was dealing with at that time had a lot of health issues. And I was so impressed with the research, I said, I'm going to get that product and see what happens. Tested myself, tested my wife, tested my father, a bunch of other people. It was interesting because like kind of what the Fix is and the vagus nerve, if you think about what Vericel is, and Vericel is a very unique product that we actually have 5 different components that are in it, right? And of these 5 different components, what it's really designed, I'm going to say it's really simple, it's designed to optimize the immune system. Now, the immune system, we could spend hours on that. I'll just go in and say it really simple. We have a primary defense mechanism in our body. And generally we talk about the lining or the skin, right? So that's our first primary line of defense. So if something penetrates the skin on the outside, or my joke is where does skin start and stop? It comes up the lips, goes down through the inside.
All right.
So it's skin on the inside as well. And so that's your first line of defense or your barrier protection that we talk about. Once you get past that phase, the second line of defense is what we call the microbiome. Now, everybody's heard the word microbiome or probiotics in the gut. They forget that it's also in the lungs, it's in the brain, and it's under the skin. So secondary to the barrier line is the microbiome line. So what we have found is that you can give people probiotics, or you can give them prebiotics, or you can even give them pre-food things to feed the probiotics. But if you don't have that process actually working correctly, the second line of defense is debuted, right? It's reduced it down, it can't do it. So what we do within Vericel is having these 3 pre-probiotic components, or let me change that word, they actually feed the microbiome. Now, why is that critical? There are more bugs in us, if you will, than we are completely combined. 38.6 trillion cells supposedly in the human body. There's over 100 trillion different of these bugs that are in all of our microbiomes. Why is that significant? We can't live without them. We literally would die in this world if we didn't have the microbiome. So the process of the microbiome is how it goes in and breaks down the foods that we eat and turn it into usable supply chains. And that's critical. The second component about that, which is the primary thing I'm trying to bring up here, is when you look at that immune system, every time you eat, you're at war. The body has to say, is this good or bad, friend or foe, harmful, hurtful? Is it, can I break it down? What can I do? So I tell my patients, when you start eating, you are creating chaos in your body. And if you don't have the right soldiers or the right people or workers, whatever term you want to give it, to break that down, you become, once again, demuted. So here's the critical point between Fix and Vericel. Fix works from the top side down. Vericel goes from the bottom side up. Same highway, same pathway, same communications, 2 different points of view. And remember, if I go back and I said that the Fix was the master switch, here's the beauty of this. When you look at the foundation that we're building down in the microbiome, and now we actually start breaking down what's called short chain fatty acids, butyrates, we get into all the probiotic phases, and we go past the stomach, past the small intestine, and into the colon. Now the full communication pathway comes up. And the primary thing we have to understand, if we go back into this war concept, the more we eat processed food or unnatural food, the more our armies become worn out. We're not feeding our army, and that's one of the very main purposes of feeding anyway, is to break fuel out so we feed our armies. But now you're feeding them junk and they become denuded and they die off quick. And now we're trying to send babies out to war. We don't have our senior officials, if you will, of the Army, the Navy, whatever, doing its job. And so that all becomes, once again, denuded. Now that dual system becomes dysfunctional again. And that's what we're seeing. So what are we doing with Fix and Vericel? With Fix, we're turning on it from the top. At Vericel, we're turning on from the bottom. The communications go both ways. Now the body knows exactly what's going to happen. But here's the secondary component of that microbiome aspect. When I look at optimizing the immune system, there's a very unique substance that we call ace-mannan that's in this product. And that very unique substance has a very unique signal that goes to a very unique receptor, right, that we call the macrophages, which is the master control of all the armies and understands what's happening inside this body. And when you have the right signal, hit the right receptor, just like in Fix and the vagus nerve, now we turn on those armies, and they have a very unique ability. Number one, they are what we call cell-to-cell recognition. They read each other's cells, and they know if it's a part of you or not a part of you. Number two, the next thing it does, it will scan that cell and go, are you okay? First of all, you look like one of me, but you look like you're having trouble. It'll scan the cell and go, oh, you need some very specific help. And so the communication pathway, once again, will go out and find what it needs in the supply chain, and the repairman to come back and either A, repair that cell, or go, this cell's too far gone. Let's recycle the cell. And that key factor there is what gives us the stability to be able to live a healthy, God-given life, because now both ends of the communications pathway meet and communicate, and the body knows what to do. Once again, it's a God-given created ability within the body to make this process work.
Yeah, that's
Francine,
amazing.
it is so phenomenal. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I have been around this for 40 years, and what we have, I want to make sure everybody understands this. Ace-mannan, which is a part of the aloe vera cell, which, by the way, if you get any product that says aloe vera, it's dead. It's not alive. If you get a very unique that says ace-mannan, now you have something that's live. If it says mannose, mannopol, some of those other factors, it's probably a little bit, but it's not the right tone that we need. There's a very unique signal that we need to turn all that on. And here's what I need people to understand. First of all, we've never had Fix before. Never before. I mean, before MPG brought this out, I think I counted up maybe 2,000 people that have been exposed to that in 70 years.
Wow.
Now we have over 90,000 people exposed.
That's amazing.
It's never been here before. Number two, Vericel. We've had ace-mannan for over 40 years, and literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people have experienced that. But it was a very low quality or quantity that we now know. We didn't know then, but we now know the right cell it has to fire at. And when I look at what we have put in with the Vericel product, this combination has never existed before. Now, the top communicator, the master switch, the bottom foundation communication, we've never, in the course of mankind that we know of, have ever had this combination before.
Wow.
And that combination is what we're so excited about.
Oh, yeah. And what I love about this, too, is that for every bag that's sold, it's been given to Manna Relief, which has been feeding malnutrition children for over 25 years in over 90 countries. I mean, this company has a heart after God.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love it. I mean, for you, last question. I mean, you're a doctor, very successful. Why hop into this? I mean, why should anybody else get involved in Marketplace Global?
That's a great question. One of the things I guess I want to say here in this concept is that when you look at what's happening within a mission and a purpose, right? We all have a mission in life. There's a reason we're here. And within that, we all have a purpose in life of what we're trying to do. So if we can look at a mission and a purpose together, and we can combine those, now we have a message we can take to the world. Here's what's critical. When you look at all the underserved children in this world, here's what everybody forgets. Where does the immune system really start? It starts at the birthing process.
Yes.
Right? So if the mother is undernourished in the immune system, the child is born undernourished and can never get to full utilization of their immune system. What Vericel is allowing us to do is to reverse that process. And over 275 million kids have benefited off this in 25 years. And the beauty that we have now is with Vericel and MPG, not only do we have a product, but we have a purpose and we have a mission. And what is that mission? Let's go feed the underserved kids of the world. We have the opportunity that when we nourish ourselves, as Francine said, every bag that's sold nourishes another child somewhere in the world. And that means that we not only have value to our nutrition and our own health, but we have a purpose and a mission, a God-given call to go help these other kids who have been so unfortunate that they were born in an underserved world in underserved conditions, and we can change those lives. Dynamically, collectively, together, we can make a change in this world. We can make a dent in what's happening in our world. And that's one of the many things I love about MPG and Vericel.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ben, for chatting with us today. So appreciate that. Where can those that are listening right now purchase your books?
Well, we'll give you a QR code that they can go
All
on.
right.
They can purchase those, and just understand that we're here to help people. First of all, it's kind of like on that airplane. Let's save yourselves first, and then second of all, let's save your family around you. Then let's save your community. But now let's do the God-given reason that we're going to be blessed to do this. And why I feel this is all brought in. Let's go save the kids of the world.
Amen. It's all about the children. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Upfront in the Prophetic. For more information, just click on the links below. God bless you, everyone.